Welcome to the Gag Is podcast with me, your host, Charlie Shantae, where I share the roller coaster of my life, the highs, the lows, and everything in between. After becoming a teen mom at 14 and a widow by the age of 21, it's a journey filled with tears and laughter, reminding you that even in the toughest moments, there's hope. The gag is life may be unpredictable, but it's always worth living. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Gag Is podcast. I am your girl Charlie Shantae. Thank you for coming back and spending another week with me. Ooh, we have made it to another week, and whew, it always seemed like it take like Friday a long time to get here, but like all the other days of the week, like they just be like, I'm here. But I hope y'all had a good week. If you had a Valentine or you participated in Valentine's Day, I hope you had a good Valentine's Day. I went to the gym. That's what I did for Valentine's Day. As y'all know, I really don't do Valentine's Day because of what happened with my husband. So I just chose to chill. And then on top of that, I ain't got no Valentine like my dog. But it is what it is. So let's go ahead and jump into today's topic. So last week we talked about, how or we talked about the logistics of the day that my husband got killed and leading up to everything like that. So this week we gonna talk about what it's like, when I first stepped into the village. Look, I can't even talk what it was like when I stepped into the widow community. Now, mind you, I was 21. So, you know, I ain't really know what was going on. I ain't really know what we was doing. So, after I became a widow, this happened in the military community. So, the military community was kind of like my support. It was kind of like my go through. Like, I didn't really have too many friends or too many people outside of the military. So, military was just what it is. And let me say this, everything that you hear on this show is all my fact, my opinion, and me telling my truth. I'll never use this platform to down anybody, to slander anybody, or anything like that. These are my stories. This is from my perspective, and this is my life. One thing I've said was I'm gonna always tell my truth. It may not be someone else's truth, but I'm gonna always tell my truth. So you gotta respect that for what it is. So they have what's called an FRG. I think it stands for Family Readiness Group in the military. So it's like a group of people, primarily spouses, girlfriends, and sometimes some civilians come together, and we kind of just like a support group for when the guys are downrange. The type of job that my husband had, he was only strictly in a unit with males, there were no females. um so we would all come together, support, just be a good big support because we had kids, and hey, my husband said this, or my husband said this, or we kind of looked out for each other, kind of how they looked out for each other downrange. Now, again, I am 21. I don't really care for too much of this group, as some of the women were like older, like I'm 2021 at the time. So most of the women are like in their late 20s, early 30s. And I'm like, I really, yeah, they got like little small kids and stuff. And I'm just like, I ain't really, it ain't really my thing. But, it is what it is. So that was my support. So after I was notified that my husband had passed away, they came over, they bought food for the evening. It was just a little support to let me know. They bought a chaplain. So just to let me know some of the resources and the things that were available to me. for going forward. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, you know, am I going to have to utilize these people, for basic things? And, because I'm still in my mind, I'm still like, this isn't real. This isn't happening. Um, you know, and so after that initial encounter, they were offering support just on a minimal basis, just on a, hey, how you doing email, or you know, can we bring something by, or just something like that. Nothing real serious, nothing real in depth. If I needed to help running errands or something like that, but it wasn't nothing too in depth. And I was like, eh, you know, it is how it is. But I didn't know that going forward, I'm now in a group of women who no longer have their spouse, but there's still women, all of these other women who still have their spouses. And I didn't know that I was going to get, like a widow's thing. Like after this happened, I would still go to the meetings to support the other women because I did have some female friends who were still, their husbands were still gone. And I would go to kind of support them or whatever. But the women, they didn't want to hang with me and they didn't want me coming around to the meetings because they felt that if I hung out with them, then their husbands were going to die too. It was kind of like I was cursed or something. Like, no, you can't hang with us. And one actually told me, she was like, I don't want to, get close to you because I don't want my husband to die too. I'm like, what in the world? Like, this is how y'all really think. Y'all think that if I hang out with y'all, I'm gonna be the reason why your husband could potentially die. What sense does that make? None whatsoever. But again, it happened. And from that day forward, I was like, fine, I ain't gotta hang out with y'all. You know, it doesn't make me none. But I ended up keeping in touch with some of the higher ups and things like that. I was like, I ain't fooling with these females, because if that's how y'all gonna be, it is what it is. I would just hate for one of y'all to end up in my shoes and then somebody do you the same way. It is what it is. Like, it's gonna rub off on you. Like, what? Like, does that make any sense? Like, you a whole almost 30 years old and you believing that if you hang out with somebody, like, let's be for real. But I digress. And so after that, had I had like I tried to figure out where I was going, who I was gonna become. And so I had military friends, and I ended up getting out the military sometime after, due to them wanting to send me where he was. If I knew then what I know now, I would probably still be in the military. But if I was still in the military, I probably wouldn't be getting this content. So hooray for that. But I needed to figure out, something to do, some sense of belonging or something like that. And to be honest with you, I don't even know how I even got involved with motorcycles. I have no clue whatsoever. I knew somebody, I knew a guy. He probably introduced me to another guy. It probably happened like that. I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, I ended up getting involved with motorcycles. So yes, your girl can ride motorcycles. I do a little one too. I can flex a little bit. So I got involved with motorcycles. I ended up joining a bike club, a New Era MC. Shout out to all the people over there. Um, we are no longer, or they are no longer, um, we're no longer a club, but we still, love each other the same. Eyelashes be about to take me out. but we still love each other the same, and we just still talk to each other. Times was had, movies was made. I must say that. And it was the attention that I felt that I needed because we were doing things, we were going places, I was meeting new people, and it kind of gave me like a sense of belonging. It was fun. Like a time was had. A time was had. And I've met some amazing people. Some people that I'm still cool with. Um, you know, it's real crazy. And as a matter of fact, my You Can't Make This Up is going to be a bike related story. Um, and mm, 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 mm. But yeah, so I ended up riding motorcycles, getting into a bike club, and it was like the best thing ever. This was like the best 2.5 years of my life, and then I ended up having to sit it on down because your girl got pregnant. But I think joining the bike club, it probably saved me because I don't know if I didn't have the bike club, I don't know what type of community that I would have surrounded myself with. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't be living where I'm living now. But that is another time. But yeah, I love bike club. I haven't rode a motorcycle in probably about, let's see, New Faces 13, in probably 14 years, almost 15 years. And I think about it sometimes. Like I see bikes and I be like, oh man, yeah, what I wouldn't do to be back on twos. But the way these folk drive out here in Florida, no, not even. I ain't gonna do it. But yeah, I loved the bike scene. Loved it. And then outside of the bike club, I did have widow friends, and I met some amazing widow women, who were outside of the women that were in my husband's unit. I ended up meeting them. Ended up going to a survivor group and meeting these other women and these other widows, and all of them weren't widows. Some of them were fiancés. Some of them just had children by a service member, but nonetheless, oh, the girl sleeping. Nonetheless, we all, and I'm very cool with still with a lot of them to this day. Um, but in the widow community, I don't know if it's like this in like the civilian community when it comes to widows, but in the military widow community, as crazy as it sounds, it's very competitive. Like that shouldn't even be in the same sentence together, right? But in the military widow space, it gets very competitive. Um, and when I say it gets competitive, what I mean is women hang out with other women based on how their spouse died. So, whether they were in a car accident, a training accident, KIA, killed in action, or they took their own life. That's kind of the major classifications of death within the military or medical. And outside, again, disclaimer, this is my truth. This is my opinion. This is my story. These are my facts. Other people may hear this and say, she lying, she capping. That's not really what it is. This is my truth. And I'm going to tell my truth. I've seen it to where spouses of individuals who were killed in action or killed in a war zone, um, we we have often get told, and this is my personal experience, and I know it has happened to some other women, have gotten told, we think we better than others. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what does that mean? So in the military, it comes down to benefits. And some of the benefits are not paid and sent out the same way based on the causes of death. So, the things that I am granted are very different from someone who maybe spouse was on active duty and died in a car accident while they were off work. It may be different, um, and it's crazy that as bad of a tragedy as losing someone is, there's still competition within that. That it's very crazy to say, but it is. Like we're all in the same boat. We've all suffered a great loss. We've lost our husbands. We've lost our best friends. We've lost fathers to our children. Why are we like rules are rules, and you got to accept it for what it is. You got some spouses who didn't want to hang out with people who spouse died a particular way. Like, why would you do that? Like, why are you judging somebody based on how they died? You know, and you have women who, they grief is how you deal with it, how long it takes you, how you deal with it. And some people moved on, and then some people didn't. We just chilling, living our best single lives. We may have dibbled and dabbled and dated, but we living our best lives. And you've had some spouses who have gone on to be with other people, and then they come back and they hang around us and they be like, oh my God, you're not married yet, you don't have no one. So like they think, now this is not for all, because I do know some girls, some ladies who have partners or what have you, and they are amazing individuals. When I tell you, military world ain't for the weak. It's like, this could be a show. You got your love and hip hops and all of that. This could actually be this, we call this military wise. Because if you think it's some drama in the reality shows, you ain't seen nothing. Nothing yet. Not a thing. Not a thing. Cause hmm. But how, if our mans died, they died, all right? That's what they got in common. But why does how they died determine who you hang with? Okay, my husband got killed. Your husband died in a car accident. Okay, guess what? They both died on active duty, okay? Like, why can we not just jointly be friends and um, understand and heal each other? We have kids, and why can't we just all, be a resource for each other? Because you can go and talk to your other friends, but your other friends don't understand what you're going through. So why would you shit on the people who know what you're going through and understand you and are giving you a resource? Like, why would you treat them bad? I've seen it to where people who may have been married and have kids, like it's two different women with kids, one married and then another woman who may have had a kid. I've seen it like that, and I've seen it to where button heads not getting along. So, and the crazy part about it, I've seen it so much in the African American community. I've never seen so much. If we two brown girls going through the same thing, the last thing that we should be doing is fighting with each other or disagreeing with each other. You know, let's come together and support each other. Let's be here for each other. And it just, it sucks. Like in the military, it's called being a gold star spouse. This is a club that nobody ever wants to be a part of. Like, not never. And you have women who, I've seen crazy things. Women who have like been broken up with a dude and he gets killed, and they're like, oh my God, that's my baby. And they want to come to the meetings, they want to come hang out, and they want to do all this. Like, you was not with this person. Like, what are you doing? Like, people want to belong and they want to fit in. But and it's like, why would you want to associate you on the outside and you weren't living this life? Why would you want to bring yourself into this life? Like, what benefit are you getting from this? Like, it's giving weird. It's giving weird at this point. But yeah, catty and girl fights. Whew, military widows, we mm, 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 mm. I think I'm gonna do a episode. It's probably gonna be like a bonus behind the scene kind of um uncensored, unfiltered version, because I got some stories. I got some stories that I can tell. Got some real stories that I can tell. So, to bring this all full circle, as a widow, you never know, because from the day that you suffer your loss, you have to find a new identity. You have to find a new normal. So, ever since my husband passed away, I've always been trying to find where I fit in, what my new normal is, and things like that. And for so long, for eight, seven, for 7 years, I lived at the military base that we were both stationed at. I lived there for 7 years, and I ended up moving because it got to the point where, even though it sounds weird, I didn't want to be a widow anymore. Because in the place that we live in, like, you always would be known as the widow. You don't have any other sense of identity. And with that, being in that space, it wasn't allowing me to find a new normal. It wasn't allowing me to find my identity. My only identity was being a widow. And I didn't want to do that no more. I'm like, I'm going to always be a widow, but I can't continue to stay somewhere where it's like, you're a widow. That's what you're going to be as long as you're living here. And I was like, nah. And I literally packed my house up, packed my kids up, and we did. We moved to Florida. Ain't know nobody here. We visited. I said, ooh, this is nice. And we literally moved here like a year later, because I didn't want that widow stain on me anymore. Like, I'm going to always be a widow, but every time I turn and I'm looking and I'm going somewhere, it's like, oh, like, I know her, like, her husband's the one that guy. Like, no, like, I got tired of that. So I moved completely somewhere different where nobody knows me. Nobody knows my story, and they only know it if I tell them. So when I got here, it allowed me, when I moved here, it allowed me to, without all of the bickerness and all of the other things, it allowed me to find a new identity, to find out who I was, to find out what kind of circles I wanted to be in. And I want to say that moving here was the best decision that I could have ever made. Um, Coming up in a few months, it'll be 10 years since I've been here. And since I've been here, I didn't have to worry about fitting in. Like, I naturally and organically was able to find groups of women that I just naturally fit in with. I didn't have to worry about being judged. I didn't have to worry about, none of them are widows. So I didn't have to worry about, are we going to be in competition with each other because, like, I'm a better widow because my husband died, more tragically than yours. I didn't have to worry about that. I was able to organically and genuinely create friendships and girl groups that I genuinely and organically fit into. It wasn't forced, it wasn't pressured. And that, those groups right there, and then I have other women who, or individuals who, I'm cool with as well, and they help shape me as well. But I was able to leave an environment and foster a better environment. It was like everything was clear now. Like, I had a clean slate. Like, all right, there's this clean slate. I can figure out what I need to be, what I need to do, and where I'm going, how can I fit in? And I love all my female groups, okay? Like, I got my friends that are my professional, my older lady friends, they professional. They give me good advice and things like that. And then I got my middle-aged friends that's they not my age, but they just a smidge older than me. But I got them too. And then I got my friends, that my girlfriends and my homies that's around my age. So nothing that I have is forced. They know I lost my husband, but they don't ask about it. They don't judge me about it. Like, it's all good. It's all Gucci. Everything is good. So I'm very thankful for that. I'm very, very thankful. So, to any of my Florida friends and family that's listening or watching, thank you. Thank you for being you. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you for not judging me, and thank you for bringing me into your groups. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. Now, one of the portions of the show that, it can get wild sometime. And we talking about fitting in today. So I tell y'all a story. And I know so many people are probably going to hit me up after this and be like, who are you talking about in this story? But I would be shocked if the person who I'm talking about didn't hit me up. So on this segment of You Can't Make This Up, so during my time at the military base, when I started getting into the bike club or whatever, I'm I'm a very genuine, always been a lovable, genuine person. Easy to get along with. Can put me in a room with 10 strangers, and by the end of the night, I'ma know all 10 of them people. Like, we gonna be cool. We gonna have had a conversation. So in when I joined around in the bike community, I met different people from different clubs, different avenues, and things like that. And I had met an individual, and said individual, we got cool, and I was like, okay, like, me and said individual, we, all right, we cool, cool, cool. Well, said individual was like, yo, my boy wants to borrow some money, and he don't want to ask you. And I was like, well, why said individual, you know, why they can just come to me if it's like that, if it's like if they in need, whatever. So I was like, all right, cool. So I let said individual borrow some money for other said individual. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So a few weeks later, said individual comes back and was like, said individual said that it wasn't enough to get them out of the bind, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, need a couple of more dollars. All right, cool. So I'm hanging with said individual, and I'm like, okay, I'm starting to, you know, see some things, and I'm looking at said individual. I'm like, and I'm like, I thought you said individual XYZ. Come to find out, said individual used another individual to scam me. Yep, scam me out of 10 bands. Yep. And to this day, I don't think said individual knows, like the person that the other person was asking for. I don't think that person knows. And I don't think I'll ever tell that person either. I don't know if that, like, if it came up and said individual was like, I need to clear my conscience, I might tell him. I don't know. I mean, it ain't really no thing to me. It's over with. It's done. That's on your conscience. I done already forgave you. So, I mean, I don't know. All right. We have come to the end of the road. So, y'all know before I go, I always like to give y'all a lyric or a song of the week. And for this week, I have two. Because we're talking about the topic, and it's Valentine's Day was this week. I can't wait till this weekend because your girl finna turn up with her girls. It's Galentine's. I know Galentine's is officially February 13th, but we working women, okay? We can't frolic during the week, okay? We gotta frolic on the weekend. So Galentine's is gonna be this weekend. I can't wait. I'm turn up. Make sure you follow the personal page smartfit_okie or the gag is pod. See how my Galentine's is gonna go. Check out my outfit and things like that. But for this week, my two songs of the week / lyric of the week are Young Dro, Keep Them Squares Out Your Circle, since we're talking about fitting in and things like that. And because it's Valentine's Day and since it was Valentine's Day, and I don't really participate in Valentine's Day, but I still am human and have a heart. My Valentine's Day song is Whitney Houston, Where Do Broken Hearts Go? All right, we've come to the end of the road. Again, thank you for joining me for another week, for another episode. Remember to go follow the page. Make sure you're checking us out on YouTube. Make sure you hit that download button. Make sure you are subscribing and make sure you are sharing. And until next week, I am Charlie Shante. Peace.